Hey everybody, it's Tyler Esselman.
And it's Michael Osinski.
And you are listening to This One Goes to 11.
This One Goes to 11, the podcast where we invite someone to share with us what they believe is a perfect album.
An album so perfect that 10 out of 10 just isn't good enough. Still not good.
Still not good. Hey Tyler, I need your assistance.
Okay. Tell me.
I eat eggs every morning for breakfast.
Okay.
And they are becoming expensive, quite expensive.
Yeah.
Do I become an overnight oats guy?
See, the thing is...
the way you react to it tells me no.
No, I think it's good. It depends, though. It depends on how you're doing it, because I think overnight oats, they have to be in very particular portions. They need to be kind of smaller portions than you think they should be. Like a whole jar of oats, it's kind of a lot of oats.
Yeah.
If you're doing it fancy Instagram-like. If you're shaking it up with your milk and stuff. I do as a former personal trainer though. Absolutely. Go and get that fiber. We love that fiber. You can get some fruit in there.
I consume so much fiber.
You're good on fiber.
Why am I sharing this with the greater public here?
You and I are both good on fiber. We're a pro fiber podcast. Keeps you healthy in mind and body. It's good for your gut.
Well, thank you. I will now. But now we're gonna buy a bunch of mason jars, right?
No, to start collecting them from other stuff. Come on. You gotta get on your game here. You know who I bet is on their game in terms of jars, mason jars.
Who do you think?
Our guest today, Michael. Michael, who are we talking to today on the podcast?
We are talking to a dear mutual friend, Krissy Vanderwarker. Krissy Vanderwarker is by day a brand strategist and art director, and by night a director and writer. Storytelling runs in her blood. Her Aquarian nature pulls her towards helping people find the perfect articulation of their unique offering and compelling stories that connect us to joy. For Krissy, crafting stories and innovative programs originated in her adventures in theater as an accomplished director, working nationally for companies such as Looking Glass, Second Stage, Actors Theater of Louisville, and the two companies she founded, Dog and Pony Theater Company and Sit and Spin Productions. Now her storytelling craft leads her to film and television. She recently directed Chicago, a short film by Paul Oakley Stovall, and was nominated for a Best First-Time Director at the European Cinema Film Festival, as well as for Best Sci-Fi Short. Her series of short films, Soft Monsters, is in production. She's co-writing a new television series with Paul Stovall called Bedrock Falls. And in her work in branding, she's worked on brands big and small, mostly through crafting brand strategy and packaging design. Recently, she and her brother Brian Vanderwarker were named People to Watch in Packaging Design by Graphic Design USA. And oh my gosh, it's Krissy Vanderwarker. She's right here with us. How are you doing, Krissy?
I'm great. Thanks for having me today.
She busy. That's what she is.
And perfect person to be on our podcast is someone who, like you say in your bio, all about storytelling. And to be honest, you have been on our list for a while. And this finally, the stars aligned. And, that's all I'll say about that.
I'm very happy to be here. I'm big fans of the podcast. Big fan of both of you as well as human beings.
You know what we haven't done a ton recently, specifically on episodes, is we haven't articulated our relationship to our guests as clearly as we have in maybe in the last couple. But Krissy's an old school chum of both of ours from, you guessed it, the theater school at DePaul University. How you doing out there, Martine? You remember us? Yeah, Krissy, I guess I just got to say, I got to geek out for a moment a little bit. If you'll recall, as a wee 18-year-old coming into the theater school ecosystem, the fish tank of the theater school, I worked on your thesis project, Faustus, and boy oh boy, what an experience that was. That was formative. I'm not overstating it when I say it was a formative experience for me.
Oh, that's very kind of you to say. Hopefully formative in a positive direction.
For sure. If that's not clear, big time. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's crazy.
I remember I was given a choice of incoming first years to help me on this production because we knew we needed on-stage crew.
Yeah.
And I got to choose from several first years. And I remember, Tyler, you distinctly making a very positive first impression on me. And I was like, that guy, I got to have that guy around because that one is bright-eyed and ready to do anything. And so excited about theater, and I was like, yeah, he's got to be around.
Oh, I'm so grateful you did. I'm so great. That makes my heart sing. It was just man, it was like everything. It was everything I had hoped it would be when I was coming to school. You know, it was like theater Hogwarts, and we're up in what was it, room 306, rolling around on mats and stuff like that. And I'm like, holy shit, this is what theater is. This is
in that decrepit building.
Oh, amazing.
Pre-move.
Yeah.
I kind of missed that building though. There was something that old building sparked more creativity than the current building does, I think.
Yes.
Totally agree. Like kind of limitations of a kind of not well kept space.
Yes. Oh, it was not well kept.
Yeah, allowed a good freedom, allowed some. Yeah, you had to use your imagination to fill the space in a way that a very sleek and perfectly curtained space just doesn't require.
And it was definitely as part of the myth that we were participating in, right? Like I definitely felt like I was myth making around Chicago theater just by being there and just by kind of like meeting the people that I was meeting. Because also you assembled. Okay, this is got to be in our theater podcast, but I won't go too long on this.
Another podcast.
Yeah, I mentioned the theater podcast last time, so remember this one's already in the hopper.
Okay, all right.
But anyway, it was just amazing. It was amazing when we talk about like collaborative energy. And I think a lot of hay is made, and I'm going to use that phrase in my 60-second intro. It's just one of my favorite phrases recently, but about the collaborative thing in Chicago. But it really was kind of like the dream of collaborative theater in Chicago. So,
yeah,
Michael and you were classmates. Do you remember? You remember your first? I mean, maybe you didn't overlap, but you were in the same program.
We've known each other much longer than that, though.
You have? Okay, gotcha.
Oh yeah, I believe it was through Steppenwolf. Yes, through around. It was like right around 9/11, if I'm not mistaken. Damn. I don't remember what you were doing. You were doing something at Steppenwolf. I just remember that Mother Courage and Her Children was the show, and that's how I met a bunch of people. What were you doing at Steppenwolf at that point?
I was the production management intern and also backstage crew for Mother Courage. I lived at that theater.
Yes, you did.
That was the one with like Malkovich and
no, it was Lois Smith playing the titular role.
Oh, cool.
And Ian Brennan, the creator or one of the creators of Glee and etc., playing one of the sons. Sally Murphy.
Oh, Sally Murphy. Yes.
Who else?
I think Joe Faust was Swiss cheese.
Joe
actually.
Faust.
Joe Faust was Swiss cheese. Okay. What a play! What a crazy play!
Yeah, and who did the music for that? T-Bone Burnett wrote the
That's right.
Okay.
music.
Little old
for
him.
that production.
little T-Bone. No big deal.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah.
And I always remember the conductor conducted the pit while playing the accordion.
What the hell? What the hell? That's
a special skill.
Yeah, that's a folk skill. That's like in your blood. You get that through eons of bardic storytelling is what you get that through. That's unreal. Holy shit.
But Krissy and I also have some concert experience though too, because we went to concerts together. I'm remembering 3 in particular. I'm remembering, I believe we went to go see Black Rebel Motorcycle Club and Spiritualized.
Okay.
I think I can't remember where.
Good show.
I think we might have left during Spiritualized though.
We did.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And we also we saw Spoon, which I also know that we both left early.
Did you?
Yes. It was just something about the venue. I don't know. It was not great.
Good for you.
I do love Spoon, but we left that. And then we went to see Radiohead in Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Was it at that outdoor venue?
Alpine Valley? Was it Alpine
That's
Valley?
it. Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's where Dave Matthews Band plays every year. So glad to know that Radiohead did their rendition.
And that was the venue that I saw my one and only Fish concert at.
Ooh, very cool. Very cool. Didn't need to go to Wrigley. Though I love when the Fish fans take over Wrigley. There's nothing like those nights biking through and you're just like, stop it. I'm okay. You're like, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Stay on the sidewalk. That's what I want to say to them. Okay. Sorry. We got to get going here. We got business. We have business to conduct. Krissy, we brought you here with a very serious purpose, and so would you please let our guests know, what album hath thou brought before the This One Goes to 11 tribunal today?
Debut album of Fiona Apple, Tidal.
Not the streaming service, spearheaded by Jay-Z. Same word, but you know, we're talking about the original.
Yeah, it was there first.
So many bangers, so little time, and so if the snippet that you just heard was your first introduction to Fiona Apple, then you probably want to know a little bit about who this person is. What a name, right? Such a like an iconic name as well. We have a convenient segment for those listeners who may not be familiar with Miss Apple's work and need a little refresher. Michael, what's that segment called?
That segment is called The Beginner's Guide to Fiona Apple's Tidal in 60 seconds.
Yes, and I'm going to do it today, Krissy. We trade off. Though the way that things have shook out, I'm doing a lot in a row.
You're doing a lot in a row this season.
Several in a row, and that's okay. It's good for me. It's good for my gut biome, as I most things should be.
Fiber.
You gotta get your fiber. So, but it's going to be your chance to assess my job. We're going to assess your case that you make for the perfection of Tidal, and you have this moment to assess how I do summarizing this person, which you are going to be our authority on. Make sense?
Oh, yes. It does make sense. I am ready to judge.
Cool. All right.
Nice. 60
You have my
seconds on the
timer?
clock. Oh, yeah.
Okay, great.
I'm ready.
Great.
3, 2, 1, go.
The words singular and visceral get thrown around a lot, but you'd be remiss not to apply them to one Miss Fiona Apple, a fascinatingly dynamic player in the late 90s singer-songwriter boom in Los Angeles. Apple herself is the daughter of artists, brought up in the liminal space between New York and LA. It was an upbringing deeply scored by depression, OCD, and anxiety, unfortunately, and much hay has been made of the assaults that she endured in her teens, but for Apple's money, quote, it doesn't get into the writing. It's a boring pain. It's such a fucking old pain that, there's nothing poetic about it. Her debut, Tidal, was released in summer 96 and was received pretty damn well. The third single, Criminal, garnered her a Grammy, along with its Mark Romanek-directed video. The strong first effort introduced audiences to her signature fire in the belly, manifesting itself as alt-pop rock with guts, a growl, and an axe to grind. Her next chapter would include public romance with a certain famous film director, 4 more full-length albums to date, including 2020's exceptional Fetch the Bolt Cutters, and a fierce commitment to speaking her mind and not compromising her vision. But thankfully, her strongest asset is her dang heart. Thank you.
All right. Nice work, Tyler. Krissy, how do you do? What do you think?
I think it's so interesting that anytime we talk about Fiona Apple, her pain comes up for almost first.
Yeah.
And I think that's a testament to her artistry in some ways and what her music comes, kind of brings forth.
Yeah.
But I think you did a very nice job.
Thank you. Very nice job putting that on the board. Appreciate it. Yeah, you're totally right that it comes up first. And, I will fully say maybe that's a journalistic pitfall. Maybe it's a journalistic crutch. That's the trauma fascination that we have in general. And you can certainly say Western society. I don't want to speak for any other societies, but that's where I'm going to put a little bookmark on that because it's worth talking about some more. Before we do that, though, we've talked a lot about you already and what we love about you, Krissy, but we want to hear from you a little bit more because we want to get a sense of kind of like how music exists in your life. So that's our first question to you. Could you characterize for us the relationship that you have with music?
Yeah, I have a very love-hate relationship with music. My brain is a fascinating place in which a lot of things are happening all of the time.
Yeah.
And so sometimes music is a balm to that and helps ease things and focus my attention and bring some consistency and calm to it all. And sometimes it's very distracting and can be a real problem for me. So I work in a space that's open. There's all of us kind of in an open room, and we always choose music to play during the day. And sometimes that's a real blessing, and sometimes I'm ready to claw my eyes out.
Damn.
But in terms of music in my life,
Yeah.
I didn't grow up really listening to a ton of music in the house, except my dad's absolute obsession with reggae Christmas carols.
What?
It's bizarre.
Okay.
That's
It
so
makes no
particular.
sense.
What the hell?
I know. And it is a thing in the family, reggae Christmas carols.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, I have to say.
Wow. Are they good?
There's a particular album. I'll send you the link. It's really actually quite good.
I would love
but
that. Yeah.
There's a lot of bad reggae Christmas
Sure.
songs out there too.
Holy God. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's so specific. So what did that do to you? What affected? How is that borne out in your life?
I'm not sure. I think I did find that album on a Spotify playlist this Christmas, and we did rock it a little bit. And there is some fun nostalgia that happens listening to that music that brings a sense of party and a sense of festivity. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure it had a super lasting impact on me.
Fair enough. Didn't need to.
The thing that did have more of an lasting impact was my parents' obsession with Cat Stevens and some classic rock like Steve Miller Band, Paul Simon. Yeah. Those kinds of bands were a big part of what we listened to when we were growing up.
Yeah.
And then I think part of why I chose this album was that like me finding my own music taste in my teenage years was kind of a big part of defining who I was and how I wanted to be viewed in the world and who to call into my circle by the music I was listening to. And I think that's where music started to play kind of a bigger part. And then obviously in directing film and theater, it has a big impact in emotional storytelling. I try to pay attention as much as I can to the kind of oral soundtrack of a story as well.
It's sort of the design element that I think, like, when you're a director, it's the thing that you can most actively manipulate people's emotions with. I mean, lighting, yeah, I guess that can, but there's something about like when you hear music, you can dramatically change the tone of something. I always use the example of like, if the TV show Arrested Development didn't have the soundtrack underneath it, it would be a horrible tragedy about a terrible family. But because of its soundtrack, it's like this lighthearted, ha ha ha, we're going to laugh at them sort of thing. So you can do a lot with the music you choose.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So you talked about the music you discovered in your teenage years. Can you talk about, do you remember how and when you discovered this album specifically?
I wish I had a really specific, awesome story where I was like surfing through crates at a record store and just like found the Fiona Apple album.
Right.
I don't have that story, although I do remember particularly being drawn to the cover art of that like kind of ghosted photo of her with those bright blue eyes and being so compelled and being like, who is this woman and what does she sound like and what is she trying to say to me? I feel like in some ways she was already communicating so much just off the one picture on the album. Most of my music in high school came through friends, talking to friends, trading things with friends, listening to awesome college radio stations. At the time I was in Charlottesville, Virginia, and UVA had a great college radio station. And so it was the late 90s and some great alternative music was coming out at the time. And so we were kind of steeped in that culture. And that's probably where I first heard Fiona Apple.
Yeah, she got sort of like, again, as we've said on this podcast many times, the 90s was the decade of the year of the woman in rock. and she I can't take credit for that. I wish I knew the journalist who said that.
And boy, are we lucky. Thank God.
But like, I remember encountering her, if I'm not mistaken, Shadowboxer, the music video for Shadowboxer was on MTV's Buzzbin. And it was, I mean, like, yeah, she kind of had some like carryover from like Tori Amos in some ways. And I also noticed when I was looking up some stuff, her drummer on this album was Tori Amos's touring drummer, Matt Chamberlain.
And he was on the next one too, right?
I can't remember. I didn't look into the everything for When the Pawn, but
okay.
But it was, she sort of felt like alternative, but like how do you fit within this? And because of the fact that she didn't quite fall into one particular, spot, like that made her more interesting to me anyway.
Well, and I loved her like rawness of her femininity and her, like, it was in that expression of the 90s that was like also Tom Ford Gucci, like that kind of like silk 70s porn, but made sexy for women. And like there was something about that cultural moment that she kind of stepped right into and brought to life and expressed so beautifully and creepily in those music videos as well. Like I thought she kind of hit that cultural moment just right.
Yeah. Who's in a rotation? Who's in a CD rotation? If you have a 6 CD changer in your car, what other CDs are on that changer along with Tidal?
Well, I have to admit it was Jewel was in there too.
Hell yeah. Yeah. You don't need to wince when you say that. Let's go.
Well, I winced because of her current politics. I think I was reading something the other day. It's just not great. But yeah, that like female yodel, big kind of guttural embodied sound was just so freeing and exciting and awesome to sing along to. I think also TLC.
Yeah, I see it.
Definitely.
As a little bit of a pivot, but
no, really adjacent though, right?
Whole moment. I was in Charlottesville, so I have to admit Dave Matthews Band was definitely in that rotation.
No shame in the Dave as far as I'm concerned, because I've seen that dude several times and it's always fun.
Yes.
Even now. He's amazing.
He is. I mean, and that like weird, well, to me at that time I had never heard someone kind of sing like that or express themselves in that kind of rhythmic and playing with their voice in that way, and so that felt new and exciting to me.
There's a trip on ballets, that kind of some shit like that. You're like, what? This is from another planet. It's definitely from another planet.
I don't know. There's a Venn diagram with Dave Matthews and Eddie Vedder where they overlap.
Of course.
I want to point that out there.
Yeah.
And there might have been some like Counting Crows. Oh, the one that I'm definitely missing in there is Ani DeFranco.
There we go.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, we like Ani. What I think I like about Fiona, she was never at a Lilith fair, was she? That's probably not really.
She was.
Okay.
One of them, yeah.
Okay, because it feels like she's sort of like a Lilith fair, like totally fits in the Lilith fair ethos for sure. But then it makes you wonder how much like she would be on the in something like that. She's got outsider energy, kind of lone wolf energy, and so like her being able to sort of stylistically overlap in a couple different circles in that era makes a lot of I like that picture that's being painted.
In some ways I feel like she to me has always been a step ahead of us in everything, like in the way she looks at the world and like the way she makes music. And like, I don't know, this past year, like I get into Charlie XCX a bit and I watched some interviews with her, and some of the things that Charlie XCX would say about the industry and about working with other women in the industry, it was sort of like, I kind of feel like Fiona Apple said this before. It's just nobody listened to her back then because everyone was making it so competitive that she, I'm not quoting Fiona Apple here in this moment, but I do feel like there was a sense of media produced rivalry between female artists during that era. And she kind of called bullshit on the whole thing. And because she wouldn't play the game, wouldn't be part of the machine, the extraordinary machine, one might say. Then zing. Then she got met with opposition. I mean, I just think about when she got the MTV Video Music Award, and she like said that it was all bullshit. And everyone was like, "Oh, you're ungrateful. Shut up. Get her off the stage."
Right.
And now, I mean, she's been doing whatever she wants, and every album she's made since Tidal, which is already, sorry, I'm showing my cards, which is already great. Every album she's made since has just like expanded her world even further. And that rarely happens with an artist, I feel like.
I feel like her outsiderness and her step aheadness that you just so eloquently described is exactly what drew me to her in that pivotal moment of trying to find who I was, particularly getting acquainted with my artist self and trying to find my own voice. Here was this woman who was not going to play by anybody's rules, and she was not going to censor herself or make her pain palatable or fetishize it for anyone else. She was going to just do what she wanted to do and put out what she was going to put out. And I just can't imagine. She was 19, right, when she put out Tidal?
I think so.
Mad young.
Having that kind of confidence and self-awareness to be able to do that at 19 is remarkable.
Yeah, she was 19.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what I was doing at 19. Like, not this.
No.
Thank God I was doing onstage crew for Krissy Vanderwalker's thesis project. So I can't complain. I was doing all right. But I think we should give the listeners another little taste of the music itself. Krissy, can you share with them what you chose as your standout track from the album?
Yes. I think the standout track is not the one that most people say is the standout track from this album. But for me, it's Shadowboxer.
Shadowboxer. Okay, everybody, if you haven't heard Shadowboxer, here's a little snippet of it. You're going to like it, all right? And we'll talk to you on the other side. All right, see you in a minute now. Bye.